What's good, everybody? It's your brother Mad Black, the most dangerous and the most toxic black man on the internet, and I am black up in your face again with some more pro-black commentary. So I got a doozy for you folks today, okay? And we're going to be talking about the mental delusions and the insanity that goes on within the mind of a lot of divestors on social media because they are so obsessed and so it's like a sickness. They're so determined to get a white man to like them that they'll even make up fantasies and fairy tales about what types of white men love them or like them or whatever. And it's actually a sad thing when you really think about it, when you think about that there are black females out there that feel so unloved and unwanted that they'll create this entire fantasy world around people who love them. You know, like if they feel like they're unloved or that they don't get enough attention or enough respect, they'll literally create this phantom being to come and love them. And now the latest phantom that they've created is this idea that white billionaires love them and want to marry them, right? And I saw this post on Instagram and it got me thinking like what in the hell is going on here? Where did this even come from? But there's this post on Instagram where you have this black female, I guess her name is Nay, but she calls herself chaotic black girl, which is funny based on the quote that she's going to give here. And there is a quote that she's repeating saying that a white billionaire said that black wives are for grown-ups. And other races of men are agreeing and saying they really do prefer black women for happy and stable relationships. And black men are upset about this, which is not true at all, right? Not even from the giddy up. And then you have another woman coming up in the post saying, all my white boyfriends have told me I was their healthiest relationship. I believe this for sure. So, you know, for one thing, when I'm making this video, don't think that all black women think like this. Okay, I'm specifically talking about some of these wayward divestors and weirdo black feminists and whatnot. Okay, I'm not talking about all black women because it's been black women who brought this to my attention and said that this was some BS. And also it's black women who have exposed this as a lie. So I want to make that clear here. So none of you manosphere goofies coming here talking about, well, this is how all black women think, and this is why I have to get my passport and go to Colombia. Don't come here with that nonsense, okay? Because once again, it was black women who exposed this for BS. All right. And it was a black woman who even said that the original quote was some nonsense and that we have such low self-esteem to even be posting something like this. But let's examine this quote because there's more to it, by the way. This is not the only part to it because there's more to it where these black women have put more on the quote saying that the actual white billionaire who said that, you know, black wives are for grown-ups is Ben Horowitz, which once again is not true, but this is what they believe. They believe Ben Horowitz said that billionaires prefer black women and that black women are loyal and guard their interests. Black wives are for grown-ups. So listen to all this that's mixed in here, okay? The layers of lies and delusions that's on this quote here, okay? Because the sad part is, you know, let's for one like just pretend that this quote is the truth, that Ben Horowitz actually said this, and there are white billionaires who say that black women are, you know, are good for wives for billionaires, and that they, you know, are loyal and guard their interests. This is not a compliment to black women. If they're saying that you guard their interests and that you're loyal, they're basically talking about you like a guard dog. They're talking about you like you're their servant, like you're their mammy. So the fact that they're talking about black women in this regard is disrespectful. It's not something that you should be proud of. They're basically saying that you are a guard dog for white supremacy, basically. That you will guard the interest of white supremacy. You will guard the interest of these white devils out here. And that you will be the most loyal to them. That's not a compliment. This is not something that you should be aspiring to if it was true, right? But, you have a lot of women out there, once again, who are very delusional, who feel like no one loves them. So they've created this entire fantasy in their head. And the whole, billionaires prefer black women. There are black women all over TikTok right now talking about repeating this quote and saying, Ben Horowitz or white billionaires love black women and want black women as wives. They're all repeating it and, making it seem like they're just on cloud nine, right? Even though none of them are married to a white billionaire. That's the funny part. You got all these goofy black females on TikTok talking about how white billionaires prefer black women. Not one of them has a white billionaire. You think that would tell them something, right? But they're going to just bask in the fantasy that they could get a white billionaire, right? Or a white billionaire is out there checking for them to be their wife, right? So, like I said, it's somewhat sad. It's kind of funny in a way, but when after the laughter stops, the tears come. Because like I said, this is complete and utter delusion, and once again, that's not a compliment to say that about black women. For black women who feel that's a compliment, it is not. All right. And the sad part is that you have a lot of black females out there who are just willing and ready to be that guard dog and be that servant to white supremacy, right? That they're just itching to jump out there and put on their helmets, their Spartan shield, and their capes, and be that guard dog for white supremacy.
Oh my goodness. I don't you pay any attention, those two old boys, Lucretia boys, or they're not worth a penny. Your thoughts? Oh, my friend. How be you, Lucretia boys? Oh, now don't you go asking how everything be. Gotta be all right as long as I'm totery. Oh, I know that. Lucretia Borgia, this is Miss Augusta. Lucretia Borgia been with me all my life, ever since I little sucker. Got my titty milk from her. And I craves you to be right friendly. I got the prettiest apron for you. It's...
That's sickening to even think that they're willing and ready to do that. But once again, a lot of our people have a lot of issues out there. I've talked a lot lately about the black males who have a lot of mental issues. There are a lot of black females out there who have a lot of mental issues as well. That's why I always say we did not get into this mess with one gender, and we won't get out of this mess with one gender either. Okay, or one gender thinking that they can just run somewhere else and be up under some other group and think that they're going to survive. That's not how this is going to work. So when I see stuff like this, I have to call it out for BS and I have to push back against it. And really, I have to examine where this even came from, because I don't, when I saw the quote, I was like, it seems somewhat familiar, but it doesn't seem true. And when I went to look up, because, I like to fact check these things. And, I saw that a lot of these women were saying this on TikTok. And I've already told you a billion times how TikTok is one big psyop. It's one big, government funded psyop where they manipulate the minds of young black people on there with a lot of trash. And this is a great example of how they do that, where they're putting out falsehoods and things that just are completely untrue and getting black people to repeat it over and over again until it almost becomes the truth. But I did some deeper digging to fact check and figure out where a lot of this quote was coming from. And one of the main things I saw was Ben Horowitz was saying that he never said this, right? I know it's a lot of black women didn't want to repost that, but he's saying that's not a quote of his. So there are people looking into it to figure out, where did this quote come from? And I found this sister on social media, and thank God for her that she actually did some deep digging to figure out where this quote came from. So we're going to watch her video, and it's short, and I'm quoting fair use because I want to get this information out here because this is a fact check. This is, putting holes in this nonsensical argument because she did the real research and she found where this quote actually came from. So let's listen here.
Because we are going to deep dive this quote. Where did it come from? I think I found the source. Let's go down the rabbit hole. So when I was doing my investigative Googling, I came across a forum on this website called the Coli. They were like a sports and hip hop forum. They were talking about this quote back then in 2013. And somebody was...
So you see that? That's why I said this quote sounded familiar. This quote was out there in 2013. That's how long ago. And if you want to do your research, that was kind of like the beginnings of this nonsensical, childish gender war on social media, by the way. Let's keep on listening.
It was saying, billionaire Ben Horowitz was said to have been quoted as saying billionaires prefer black women. They're loyal and guard your interests. Black wives are for grown-ups. And then it was like, it led me to research billionaire men dating black women. Okay. But then check out the next post. Someone posted and said that the quote never happened. And then they put a link where it says, Ben Horowitz says he did not compliment black women. But when I go to click on that link, the link was dead. So I was like, okay, back to the Googles. I found a blog post from 2013 where a blogger is saying that her friend tells her about a post from balleralert.com where it says, billionaire says black women are for grown-ups. So I was like, I wonder if I can find the original post on Baller Alert. Now, when I went to Baller Alert, I did not find anything from 2013, but I did find a 2019 post that says, billionaire says black women are for grown-ups. The first line says, this article was brought to my attention and I decided to share it with you all. But it doesn't say what article was brought to their attention.
Do you see how the psyop of it is? How these same things come up over and over again and recycle on the internet? Do you see that? How these psyops pop up every so often to get black people, especially black men and black women, arguing. And it's very interesting that this has shown up the summer before the new election, right? To divide black men and black women. So let's keep on listening to what she has to say.
About 8 years ago, this quote has been on the internet for a long time. 8 years ago, someone took to Quora and asked the question about the origin of this quote. And somebody replied and made reference to that 2013 Baller Alert article. They went on to say that a feminist blog responded to that website, writing that Horowitz has since disavowed the statement, allegedly given during an interview with Carla Booth for Beyond Black and White. Carla Booth is a guest author of the blog Beyond Black and White and the alleged mistress to Osama bin Laden.
We all know here. If you don't know, you should know who Carla Booth is. She's one of the top intersectional black divestment agents on social media. She's one of the original ones. She's been on the internet for a long time, basically bashing black men and attacking black men. And saying all types of ridiculous nonsense about black men and trying to tear down and destroy the black family and divide black men and black women. She's been around longer than Crystalline Karazine. She's been around longer than Cynthia G. She's been around for a long time, and she's actually been around people in the government. So I think she actually is an agent that pops up every now and again. She's even popped up now in the whole situation with Puffy. Like when that video came out of Puffy beating up his girlfriend, she's using that as a way to attack black men. Okay, so like I said, you got these agents out here, you got these psyops, they pop up every so often to spout nonsense to divide black men and black women. And let's find out more about Miss Carla Booth and this quote.
they wrote a blog post saying, "One thing I learned while living with Osama bin Laden against my will in 1996 is that while the saying goes gentlemen prefer blonde, a less talked about phenomenon is that billionaires marry black women. What the F?" So beyondblackandwhite.com is for black women who date outside their race. And by the way, dating outside your race does not just mean dating white men, just FYI. And in 2013, they reposted this blog post by Kala. Is it Kala or Cola? I don't know. But they reposted her blog post where she said, "Billionaires prefer black women." And I think this is where we can find the origin of our quote, because I cannot find anything that goes earlier than this. Remember this dead link that I couldn't find, that I couldn't access, the sexy part of the Bible, where Cola Booth has a book that is entitled, wait for it, she has a book called The Sexy Part of the Bible.
So this quote comes from Cola Booth, a black feminist, anti-black family agent. And she wrote it in some book, a novel. And somehow when she took that quote and she also put it in some articles on social media on these black feminists and divester websites, it started becoming the truth to these divestors, and it kept getting spread across social media, whether it be Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, Snapchat, wherever, and now it's popped up again to warp the minds of young black women through these divestors. So it's a lie. Ben Horowitz never said that. No black billionaire ever said, no, white billionaire ever said that. No white billionaire ever said that black wives are for grown-ups. That's nonsense. That white people don't even talk like that. All right? So let's take a look at this, because, you know, a lot of people will say, well, Mad Black, these white billionaires do want black women. Now, the only white billionaire I can think of that's even with a black woman or married to a black woman is George Lucas, he's married to, I think her name is Melody Hobbs or something like that. But she was a millionaire before she met George Lucas. So that's how they even met, is because they were traveling within the same circles. That's how they met. So it's not like, you know, these white billionaires are not going out there to find Keisha or whatever in the projects and taking her up and making her his wife or whatever. So let's stop that nonsense. But listen up. There is a phenomena out there where these white billionaires do want black women for something. And it's this. And I talked about it way early on my channel years ago when I first started this channel, where I talked about these white billionaires actually coming out and saying that they wanted to harvest black women's eggs so they can take their stem cells, because they can use those stem cells for all types of medical upgrades for themselves and keeping themselves young and whatnot. And they actually just came out there and said it. They got these two white billionaires sitting at a table with these black women. They're sitting there skinning and grinning and laughing at what these white men are saying. And these white men are literally saying how they want to harvest their eggs. Let's listen to this again. I played it before, but let's listen to what these white billionaires have to say again about why they really want black women.
Stem cell technology that Peter and I are investing in is called SCNT, which takes the egg of a young, perfect woman specimen, takes the egg and takes out the nucleus and puts our DNA in the nucleus. They just go and take it out.
Pay for it.
Huh?
They pay for Jesus.
And this is part of this genetic greatness that we don't see in any other race on the planet. These curvy, sexy black women from Africa. Negroes have a kind of a monopoly on this genetic perfection, and we want some of that.
Yeah, you black women have a monopoly on this genetic perfection, and we want some of that, and we'll take it any way we can. So we'll pamper you with all these niceties and make it seem like we love you, but really what we want to do is harvest your DNA. And that's what the game has always been about for these white billionaires and these elites when it comes to dealing with black people. This is why they promote nonsense like interracial marriages and interracial relationships. There's a bigger game going on here that a lot of you are ignorant of, and you don't pay attention to because, we're too busy bickering and going back and forth and arguing about who should pay for a date and who should bring the plate, who gets your plate first, and all this other dumb shit that doesn't matter. And we're not thinking about the danger that we are truly in from these demons out here, how they're trying to basically erase us and take our genetics to keep them alive for another couple of centuries or so. You folks let me know how you feel about it in the comments section. I very much like to hear your opinions on this post. Anyway, this is Mad Black, and I will be back with my foot on the devil's back.